Now, before we even begin the video, let me go ahead and set the record straight. Number one, I am not against unions. I think unions have had a great deal of value, especially in the United States, especially in the past. And inherently, I don't think there's anything wrong with them. If there's an organization that can give more power to the workers, so be it. Second of all, these are only my opinions. I worked at Tesla for 4 years. I stopped working there in September 2021, and these are my opinions. I don't speak for anyone else at the company. I want to make sure that's very, very clear. And third of all, because I have worked at Tesla, there is a chance I might be a little bit biased. So I encourage you to do your own research and to make up your own mind. I'm simply here sharing my thoughts, okay? So if you don't agree, or for some reason you think I'm full of it or whatever, please do your own research. Don't listen to me. Do your own research. Now that we've gone through that exercise, let's go ahead and get started with the video. There's been a lot of talk about the United Auto Workers Union, which is a union that's very popular amongst the OEM legacy automakers in the United States. And as of late, the topic has been brought up, highlighted especially by this tweet right here from Elon, where he essentially encouraged the UAW to go to their Fremont factory plant in California and have a vote. But what I really want to cover in detail today is why a union is not only incompatible with Tesla, but why it's not needed to achieve the goals that the union claims to want to do. The first thing we need to wrap our heads around is why a union would need to exist in the first place. What is the purpose of the union? And there's 3 primary reasons why, in my opinion, a union would be needed in a workforce. Number one, workers feel that the company is not treating them well. They have unsafe practices. They're essentially abusing their workforce one way or another. And the workforce doesn't have an ability to find other jobs that are much better in that region or in the place that they live. The second reason is that workers would need a third party to come in to negotiate better wages for them on their behalf, especially again, if they're not able to find work around their area or in their region that would pay them the price they think they're worth. And third, unions would also come in and negotiate better healthcare coverage and better perks for the workers on their behalf as well. Now, in principle, these are amazing things, right? These are things that all workers should have. You don't want to work at a place that's going to treat you poorly, be unsafe, is not paying you well, you don't have good healthcare coverage. These are all very reasonable requests and should be expected from every single employer, especially in the United States. Now, it's no secret that Tesla pays its people extremely well, especially for those that have been at the company for a while. Part of their wages is paid in stock, and that stock for the last 10 years has gone up so much that a lot of the people working there today, especially if they've been there for, say, at least 4 years, and they've kept those shares, they are worth so much more than any other automaker would be able to pay them. Second of all, the healthcare coverage that the company offers is something that never gets talked about. It is among the best, if not the best healthcare coverage I've ever had at an employer. The amount of money we had to pay for the healthcare coverage at Tesla was very, very small. I think it was like $50 a paycheck or less for my wife and I. And the type of coverage that we got from the healthcare was insanely good. We would barely have to pay anything out of pocket, and everything was essentially fully covered. This is something that never gets talked about. And when I talk to other coworkers as well, they're always so surprised and so amazed by how good the healthcare coverage is that Tesla offers compared especially to other automakers. And lastly, when it comes to the working environment, I can say firsthand that Tesla is very, very challenging. It's a hard place to work. There's a lot of hard problems to solve. And the reason why, it's because everything is brand new. But having worked there, I can tell you that there's nothing that jumps out to me that says that Tesla doesn't care about the safety of its workers, that they don't care about the environments that they're building. They're constantly trying to make every single thing better. But let's take that aside and say, okay, so Farzad, you're wrong. You're full of crap. This is all garbage. They need a union. A union has to come, and they have to come in and clean everything up, okay? It's terrible. What you saw with your own 2 eyes, I don't believe you. A union has to come in. Okay, cool. Let's role play and see what happens if a union comes in. So let's say for whatever reason, the union is able to raise people's base pay by 5 or 10%, whatever that number is, and say they're also able to offer them better healthcare. The biggest thing that the union would break that Tesla has, which I honestly think is why everyone working there likes working there so much, is the pace of innovation and the upwards mobility of that staff. And the reason why is because when unions come into a company and they're trying to negotiate for better pay or for better working conditions for their people, unions have to put in layers upon layers upon layers upon layers upon layers of processes and rules that maximize the chances of them having a fair working environment, okay? And in these cases, what a fair working environment means is that everybody, every single person has to stick to their role 100% of the time, and it has to be measured the same way across every single site, and it can never change. You have to remember now that when you want to get paid or you want to get promoted, everything has to go through the union now. The union is the entity that controls everyone's wages. The union is in charge of controlling your promotions. The union is also in charge of doing every single bit of bargaining or back and forth with the company. So anything that you want to do for yourself to get yourself further in the company has to go through an entity. And so as a worker that's part of that union that's doing everything on your behalf, what is your incentive to step out of your current role and try something else and try something better, or try a different role, or try something that might change something, because you are told that, hey, make sure you stick to this because this is how we measure your performance and this is how we make sure that you're getting paid fairly. Unions take away the incentive for workers to try things that are more valuable for themselves or for the company. And of course, you can make the argument that during that time, they're doing more work and they're not getting paid for it. But here's the deal. Tesla as an employer, from what I've seen with my own two eyes, is extremely good at putting those people in better positions that pay better. They're very, very fast at recognizing effort. And then after a few weeks or months' time, they're like, okay, cool. Thank you very much. We're going to promote you. Okay. You did a great job. We're going to put you in a different position, or we're going to move you to a different department or whatever. And unfortunately, what ends up happening in a union environment, and I've seen this with my own two eyes, and I've heard stories of this multiple times, is that the workforce then says, well, okay, so then why should I do anything extra? Why should I do anything more than what I have to do right now? What's my incentive to work any harder, or what's my incentive to try different things when I know that if I just show up, I'm going to get paid what I'm paid, and then so be it, whatever it is, okay? And inherently, of course, there's nothing wrong with that. If people, that's how they want to work, then so be it. But if Tesla were to do that, its pace of innovation would completely disappear. It would collapse. There's nothing they will be able to make, and there's nothing they will be able to create that would allow them to keep the position that they have and the acceleration of the position that they have in the future. But not only that, if you're a worker there that really enjoys a fast-paced environment, or you're somebody that really, really prides himself or herself and bringing a lot of value to yourself and the company, you completely remove that variable where Tesla can recognize work right away, and they put you in a position that will pay you more and also give you the work that makes you feel really rewarded, and it fits perfectly into what you're looking to do. The reason why Tesla is able to go at the speed that it does and innovate as fast as it can is because of its people. It's because of the people that are working there. Of course, Elon is part of it, but the people working there are the ones that are making the changes. They're the ones that are shifting from role to role. They're the ones that are in an environment that's non-rigid, and they're able to just go to the place that needs the most help at that time. And that's why they're so freaking fast and so freaking good at what they do. And unfortunately, even though the union would come in with the right intentions, and I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, and I'll ignore all the different times that union leaders were found for corruption, okay? Let's just say that never existed. Unfortunately, a union environment is not compatible for innovation. A union environment is better compatible and suited for companies that are in regions where there's very little work and there's one central employer that has essentially a monopoly on the workforce, and the people there can't move away from that place, and the worker doesn't have an incentive necessarily to treat its worker rights, especially if the leader is really, really bad. If the leader is a bad human being and he doesn't care or she doesn't care about its workforce, then those folks are of course going to want a union, because people will come up and say, I want a raise, and the boss will say, well, why should I give you a raise? You have nowhere else to go. I'm not incentivized to give you a raise. And of course, as an individual, you're going to feel powerless. You're going to feel down. And that's where unions can come in very, very handy. The other thing we have to also keep in mind is with Tesla having over 100,000 people and over 50,000 people in the United States, there is a chance that there are small pockets within the company where the things are not running well, where there is a leader that's just being really, really crappy, and that leader has 20 or 30 people underneath them, and then those 20, 30 people are disgruntled, and they say, oh man, this sucks. We need a union. This is terrible. It's well within their right to want that. But what they really have to ask themselves is, have we done everything we can to go up to the leadership team in Tesla and say, hey, this guy is terrible. This guy's not treating us right. We need to remove him. We need somebody else better, or they need to get better. Has that conversation happened? That's another thing we have to keep in mind. And what can also tend to happen is that because Tesla is a hard place to work, because there are hard problems to solve, some people are not compatible with that environment. Some folks are like, well, this is just really difficult and it's hard work and I can't do this, okay? And I want an easier environment where I can just do what I want and I can just get paid for it and leave. Well, guess what? Sometimes companies are not compatible with that kind of people. So those people need to ask themselves, am I at the right company? And so there's a lot of dynamics here at play where unions could make sense or unions don't make sense, right? But in the case of Tesla specifically, if we want Tesla to continue its pace of innovation and we want to continue Tesla's ability to continue to offer upwards mobility for its workforce, a union would do exactly, even though at the surface level, it sounds like a good idea for that company to have it, I do not think that the circumstances or the environment that Tesla is in is compatible with what a union brings. Maybe in 20 years when the leadership is completely trash and Elon isn't on freaking Mars and there's no other jobs out there and Tesla is literally abusing its workers and they're paying them nothing, then at that time I'm like, yes, please unionize, get somebody in there to clean it up, okay? This is crazy. But Tesla does the opposite. I've seen it with my own two eyes. Tesla does the opposite. If you're somebody that likes a fast-paced environment, if you're somebody that likes to solve problems, if you like somebody who likes hard work, and you're somebody that wants to be rewarded for that hard work, and you want to be offered better and better opportunities, and you want a piece of the company through stock options, and you want really good healthcare coverage, Tesla is perfect. Tesla is perfect. But this is my opinion, and I've seen it with my own two eyes, okay? And I feel very strongly about this. I have zero problems with unions. I think unions serve a purpose, but they're being channeled to the wrong company. Find companies, find places that need a union. Tesla does not need a union. And if you're somebody at Tesla that feels like for some reason that you're not being treated correctly, please talk to HR. Please talk to your leader. Talk to your leader's leader. Send an email to Elon. I've sent him an email 3 times and he replied to me. The guy cares. He gives a shit, okay? Really reach out and try your best to make the environment for yourself happen at the company instead of bringing in a third party in for the company that's going to ruin your ability to go upwards in the company and for you to really take advantage of the opportunities that you're given. My opinion. Do as you will with that information. Thank you very much for watching the video. If you like the content, I would love it if you throw me a like. If you want to support this channel, I have a link to my Patreon in the description below, or you can join the channel on YouTube by clicking on the join button right below this video. And lastly, I have a podcast series right on this channel, which you can also find on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Have a great weekend, everybody. Take it easy. Bye-bye. All right.